Hi, my name is Sasha. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag. I've seen a lot of people doing this and I decided to jump on the bandwagon. Nobody tagged me. I don't think anybody really tags anybody at the end of their end of the year book tag. But I thought it was a nice thing to, I know you're supposed to do it earlier in the year, but I thought it's still kind of fall. Not that Florida has fall, but I decided I'm going to do the tag because I like the questions and I want to be able to look back next year and see like what I was reading and what I wanted to read. So this tag was created by Ariel Bissett, who everybody probably knows by now, but I'll leave her in the description. The first question is, are there any books that you need to finish before the end of the year? And oh boy, are there. I counted and I think there's about 9 books that I need to finish by the end of the year. I'm just going to list them and give a brief description. So the first one is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is about a girl it's Russian folklore and a girl living in Russia, and she can see like Russian folkloric creatures, and it's interesting. I got about halfway through, and then I had to return it to the library, unfortunately. Next, I have to finish White Stag by Cara Barbieri. This was originally a Wattpad story, but I decided not to let that put me off because it sounded very interesting. This is about a girl from, it's in a fantasy world, and it's about a girl who becomes like the slave of a goblin, and she has to help him in this hunt for a white stag to become king, basically. It's all about power. It's violent, and there's a lot of talk about sexual assault. So if that's not something you're comfortable with, I wouldn't recommend this book for you. Next, I have to finish The First Conspiracy, The Secret Plot to Kill George Washington by Brad Meltzer. This is a nonfiction book about, what it says in the title, basically, what it says on the tin. The Secret Plot to Kill George Washington. Next, I have to finish Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders, and The Birth of the FBI by David Grann. I started this on my Overdrive app from my library in ebook form, and I'm finding out that ebooks really don't work for me very well. The way the print is on, and like it's just it doesn't work for me. But I was really enjoying it, so I'm gonna definitely try to pick it up before the year ends. Next, I need to finish Nosferatu by Joe Hill. This is about a girl and a killer, and basically the clash between them, I believe. And it's by Joe Hill, and I've heard such good things about Joe Hill. The first couple chapters I read, I wasn't totally into, and I think that's why I didn't finish it before the library needed it back. But I'm hoping to get to it because I've heard it's really good. I've heard from all the horror booktubers that I watch that it's really excellent, and there's also a show about it, so I'd really like to finish it. Next is a book that I started at the very beginning of this year. It's In Extremis, The Life and Death of the War Correspondent, Mary Colvin, by Lindsay Hilsum. This, I believe I saw the movie. I don't remember what it's called, but it's about Marie Colvin and kind of her story, and I was so fascinated that I decided to pick up this biography, and I was very much into it. It's very much a pattern. It's a pattern that I start books and then I have to give them back to the library because I don't finish in time, because I check out too many books from the library. It's something I need to stop doing, but I'm like a book hoarding dragon. Like, I can't stop just checking out books. Like, ooh, they're all there and they're free. And then I need to finish Pride by Ibiza Boy. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling with an all-black cast, and I was doing it for a buddy read, but I believe it was with Chrissy from the book The Return Cart, and she finished it like way before I did, so I guess I just put it down and never picked it back up. And then the library wanted it back, so I'll have to pick it back up before the end of the year. Next is one I started on NetGalley. Excuse me. I'm very thankful they even approved me, but of course I didn't finish it because it was on the computer, and I really don't like reading on the computer. I don't have a Kindle, so I couldn't send it to my Kindle. But it was very good from what I read. I read a few chapters, and that is The Lost Coast by Amy Rose Capetta. And this is about a girl who gets drawn to this town by these witch girls, and they're trying to find their lost friend Imogen, and that's about as much as I know about it. So I know my library has it, so I'm going to try to pick it up. The last book that I need to finish before the end of the year is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I started this for, I think, Blackathon back in like April or March or February. It was a readathon run by Books and Bow Ties, and I never finished this book because it was on audiobook, and I wasn't really into audiobooks yet. But it was very good. It was told in verse, and it's about a girl kind of struggling with her identity and her religion, and I would really like to finish it before the end of the year. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? This I find a really funny question as someone who lives in Florida. Florida has one season, and that is summer. We are getting some chilly weather right now, but there's no like summer, fall, like autumn. There's no autumn. So long story short, no, I don't really have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year. Although I am reading Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It does have a kind of an autumnal feel, and I am absolutely obsessed with it. I have it on audiobook. I'm about 2 hours in, and I'm just like living for Darcy and Elizabeth. Like, they're everything that I want, and I think that it could be like my new favorite book of all time. The next question is there a new release that you're still waiting for? And that is Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. If you go back in my channel, I reviewed Children of Blood and Bone, and I didn't give it a super good rating, but it is a really good story. Like, it is very compelling, and the plot, the pacing, and the romance aside, I would really like to pick it back, the next book up, and continue with the story. The next question is, what are 3 books that you want to pick up before the end of the year? All 3 of these are ones that are really hype on Booktube right now. That is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. All of these sound really good. I know that Ninth House is getting some kind of tepid reviews, and same with Turn of the Key. Starless Sea is being like raved about because I mean, duh, it's Erin Morgenstern. She's like the most beautiful prose writer besides like Laini Taylor. But yeah, I really want to pick those up and see if the hype is true. I have the hype fear, but I'd like to read them anyway. Next is there a book that could shock you and become your favorite by the end of the year? I already mentioned Pride and Prejudice, but I'm also reading Sadie by Courtney Summers with my mom on audiobook, and it is really good so far, and the writing is amazing, the story is wow, and I think that could also possibly become my favorite. The last question is, have you started making reading plans for 2020? Yes and no. I try not to make hard reading plans for myself, just because I'm kind of a mood reader. Although I do tend to make the goals that I set for myself. I also don't want to get like reading burnout and end up getting into a slump and like not wanting to read anything. But I do have like plans, especially for Booktube, books that I want to read for Booktube. I do want to read more LGBT plus representation books because I haven't been reading enough, and honestly, reading more female romance would just like make me live my best life, honestly. Like, female romance is what leads to happiness. Like, I need more of it in my life. And I would also like to start reading more books from authors that aren't American or British or Canadian or like Australian, just like people from around the world. I think that's a goal that a lot of people have. I think we kind of know that we're sort of ethnocentric in the book community when it comes to reading. So I would like to branch out. And that is all the questions, and that is my answers. I enjoyed this tag. I liked coming up with books and thinking about 2020 because, oh my god, it's the end of a decade. Can you believe it? What are we gonna do? I have the next decade fear. This decade kind of sucked. Maybe not for everybody, but for me it kind of sucked. So hopefully the next decade will be better. We can only hope. That's all for me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below if any of these questions intrigued you, if you have any new releases coming out that I haven't heard about, that you want to yell at me about, if there's any female romances coming up that I don't know about, that you know about, that I need to know about, and have a great day. That's all from me for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!